Hello there. So, I've been playing Star Rail for a long time now, and I decided to do what a lot of people in the internet seem to do nowadays, and that is give my opinion about something that nobody ever asked me about. So I'm making a tier list today. So with that out of the way, I would like to start with Destruction. Destruction is a really straightforward path. It is a path that scales on you losing HP. It gives you blessings to make sure that you lose HP. It gives you blessings that increase your stats depending on how low your max HP is. It gives you shielding based on how much HP you have lost. It is a straightforward path. It gives you damage reduction. It gives you overall more damage. It doesn't give you that insane of a boost or anything. It has one of the best gold blessings in my opinion, the one that makes you split damage between all your characters and also give them damage reduction. That alone makes this path, I would say, decent. I'm gonna leave it on D tier. And coming up next, I would say, is Yashi of the Abundance. The Abundance path is a very straightforward healing path. It doesn't give you damage, it doesn't give you defense, it gives you healing. It does, however, buff you up depending on some blessings, and increases your speed, your attack, your defense, but it's not the main purpose of this path. This path is just about all the heals. It will heal you, it will help you revive once, just straightforward healing. It does, however, make you really hard to kill because it gives you that much healing. The healing increases your max HP. The path Resonance becomes like a little summon that just happens every certain amount of turns. I will say this is not the strongest of paths offensively, but it is the second best defensively, so I will have to leave the Abundance on A tier, just because on pure survivability, the Abundance does not fail you. You can ask the Hunt about it. And after that, I will have to speak about the Elation. The Elation is the path that is being governed by the Aeon Aha, so you can go haha with Aha. And he's all about follow-up attacks. His follow-up attacks essentially get improved, well, not his, your follow-up attacks get improved, by either increasing your damage, increasing your break effect, increasing your energy regen, increasing your speed, increasing your defense, increasing like the amount of hits an enemy will take from one attack, depending on certain gold blessings. It is not a path that excels on damage, despite the fact that it's an offensive follow-up path. Of course, with certain like characters like Himeko, Herta, Topaz, Dr. Ratio, you can see some really extreme like damage buffs that you can get out of this path. I would say all the gold blessings are extremely good. And it has one blessing that turns your ultimates into follow-up attacks. So this path just scales really good. It is really hard to say where to put this path though, so I would say this path actually belongs into E tier. It's just following its own rules. It's a unique path. It works with only very specific characters. It does try to give you a general buff for everyone, but I will say that I will put the Elation into E tier. And after that, one of my not so favorite paths, no, I don't hate it, but I am slightly disappointed about this one. The Hunt. The Hunt is being governed by Lan. The Hunt is a path that specializes in critical damage, in advancing your actions, in speed, and more than anything, it tries to just be like a super offensive path. You have an enemy in front of you, you destroy it. So all the blessings that you get are about increasing your critical damage, your crit rate, your speed, advancing your action forward, getting energy, or recuperating energy for defeating an enemy. You also get the gold blessings that either advance your team forward, your actions forward, or they give you critical boost beyond what you're gonna achieve normally, right? This whole path also has the Resonance that advances the action of the ally with the highest attack forward after it's being used, while also giving them a damage bonus. This whole path is just basically designed for critical damage dealers, not necessarily single target damage, so like you can use Jinglu with this path and I will say it will go pretty well. There are other options though, but this path overall, it is an interesting path, and it is a really strong path depending on your team. So I would say this pad goes into, you guessed it, H tier. I think this is a really good offensive pad. I don't think it's the best offensive pad that we have right now, but it is definitely the second best. And for that, I do believe it goes really well into H tier. So, after that, we have Nihility. Nihility is definitely one of, if not the strongest pad in the game when you go into simulated universe. It specializes in debuffing the enemy and it scales on certain debuffs. It double debuffs the enemy in certain occasions, like with the pad resonance. And overall, it has one of the best blessings, I would say, which is a blessing that decreases the enemy's attack based on how many stacks of suspicion they have. In order to get the stacks of suspicion, you have to have certain gold blessings, there's 2 of them. Stacks of suspicion also increase dot damage on the enemy, so of course you want to pick them up. And overall, this has 2 of the best great blessings in the game. They regen your HP or your energy, and they're extremely good. This is the pad that I use to essentially do C12 on golden gears on every single pad, on every single die, I mean. There's just nothing weak about Nihility. Nihility is extremely strong. Whether you have Kafka or not, whether you have Black Swan or not, whether you have Acheron or not, this pad will not let you down. This is, by all means, one of the strongest pads in the game. So I will say this pad goes well into TN tier. So there's just nothing weak about this pad. It works with literally everyone in the game, it works on its own. You will never be let down by this pad unless you're like really unlucky, at which point that applies to every single pad. 10 out of 10 pad, 100% recommend. So with that, I would like to move on to the Preservation. Preservation is an interesting pad. It doesn't work very well unless you have Gepard or Aventurine. Obviously you have the Fire Trailblazer and you have March 7th. They don't really shield enough or act enough for that to be worth it. The true power of this pad comes down to, do you have Gepard or do you have Aventurine? If you do, this is probably your strongest pad, or second or third strongest pad, in your account at least. This pad scales on shields, it makes your shields stronger. It gives you effects based on the fact that your character has a shield, or it's getting a shield, so removing a debuff or giving you a skill point, making it so that when the enemy attacks you, they get a stack of bleed. It may not seem like a lot, but if you have Acheron, that helps like a ton. It also reduces the damage taken by shielded characters. It gives you the Quake effect, which inflicts damage based on your shields on the enemy, or when you get attacked, you reflect some of that damage as Quake. It is an overall really good pad. However, it does require either Gepard or Aventurine to really shine, right? You won't see its full potential without them. And because of that, I think this pad actually belongs into, you guessed it, the P tier. It is not a weak pad, it won't excel until you have Gepard or Aventurine. If you have them, this is probably one of, if not the strongest pad in the game. They're just that busted with it. And with that, I'd like to move into Propagation. Propagation is, in my opinion, a really weak pad. It requires specific characters. You need either Denheim or you need Shinshe. They need to be leveled up. And you need a team that benefits from basic attacking. It doesn't really bring anything special to the table until you see the gold blessings, the spores. The spores are extremely good as a source of extra damage, but the fact that the rest of the pad scales on basic attack, and so many of our best DPS characters right now are not basic attackers, like I would say Jingliu, Acheron, Topaz, Dr. Ratio. They just don't benefit from this pad whatsoever. Of course, if you have Blade, Tanking Il, or Shinshe, then this pad is gonna feel really strong to you. But because it is extremely conditional and even then you need a specific team for it, I would say that this pad belongs into the P tier. Nothing to talk about this one. It's one of my favorites. It is not strong or weak, I would say this perfectly mid. But that does lead us into Remembrance. Remembrance is one of my favorite paths. It scales on freezing the enemy. It doesn't really provide anything else other than CC, and if you do get the full gold blessings, you do get some damage in the form of this association. But the thing that makes this path unique is that freezing an enemy, it doesn't mean that they won't be able to act. They will act within a brief moment, basically. It's not that big of a freeze. However, this path can stack freeze effects. You can freeze an enemy for multiple of their turns, and that is one of the strongest CCs in the game, other than break. But you can break an enemy, but you can freeze them permanently. They will simply just not be able to do anything. It doesn't matter that the turn is getting accelerated because they're frozen, they just won't wake up. And the path Resonance, every time you freeze an enemy, will get charged. This is, by all means, the second or probably the strongest path without a team. When you have built teams, when you have like something that excels on a certain thing, so like a crit damager or like a shielder, they will obviously have stronger paths. But if you just have 4 random characters, Remembrance is probably the strongest path in the game on that alone, because it works with everyone, and the freeze effect is extremely powerful. The disassociation damage bonus is also massive, and overall, I would say that this path is really good. So I think this path belongs into the R tier. This is just a really solid path. It excels at survivability, at damage, crowd control. It recharges really fast because of the fact that it recharges whenever you freeze an enemy. All the blessings on this path are really good, they're really powerful. There's just nothing to complain about this path, so I will say R tier fits it really well. 9 out of 10 path, I would say. And now, for the latest path in the simulated universe, the path of Erudition. Erudition is just an extremely strong path. The path Resonance links all the enemies together so that your damage just like demolishes your main target while also killing everyone else. All the blessings make your ultimate stronger, whether it gives you crit damage or just pure damage or crit rate on your ultimate, or increases your AoE damage. Erudition is just a really strong path. The gold blessings, the brain alabat, they give you free resets on your ultimate. You don't even have to kill an enemy like with the hunt, it will just straight up give you a reset. This will charge whenever you break an enemy or you kill an enemy. This will give you ultimate penetration, so when you're ult, you're doing full damage to whatever you're attacking. This is a no-brainer. This is probably the strongest path in the game right now. I will say this goes to S tier.